A ja zapraszam już naszego następnego gościa, Mick. Mick Griffin, Brand24 opowie wam o sprzedaży w social mediach, czyli o social selling. Brand24 też, tak jak wspominałam, laureat Aulerów. So Mick, the scene is yours.
Dziękuję. Dzień dobry. Przepraszam, nie mówić po polsku. Thank you so much for the invite. Speaking to Artur, I was really pushing him. He was like, Mick, what do you want to talk about? And I was like, let's do lead generation, customer journey. And he was like, yeah, great, social selling. And I was like, okay, awesome. It's a really hard topic to kind of prove your theory, and everybody has a different way of describing it. So for those who don't know, Mick Griffin, CRO, Brand24, really fancy way of saying that I'm in sales. And I also the founder of Pipeline. I'll use that as a little pitch if anyone wants to go there. Okay, before I start, I normally kind of include this in a lot of my presentations when I'm talking about sales, before we get into social selling. Can I see a show of hands, anyone who likes salespeople? Wow, I'm in the right room. Okay, normally everyone's like, fucking hate salespeople. Yeah. And there's a real reason for that, because we don't really like being sold to. Okay, we don't like when people pitch. So when I'm even at a regular, family occasion or something like that, and they're like, Mick, nice to meet you, what do you do? And I'm in sales, and they kind of take a step back, and they think I'm going to start selling them something. But I'm a big believer in the fact that we actually like being sold to. So I'll do a quick experiment with you guys. Has anyone been to the kino lately? You been to kino? Tak? Okay. How many people went to the cinema and actually watched the movie trailers before the movie? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, great. So when I go to the cinema, I'm the weird guy because I'm watching the people. I'm not watching the screen because I like to learn about people. And this is normally how it goes.
Slow in my old age, Alfred.
Even you got too old to die young, not for lack of trying.
The greatest gladiator match in the history of the world. Son of Krypton versus Bat of Gotham.
Well, here I am. Only in cinemas.
Okay, I'm on the clock, so I'm going to go quick. So what normally happens is in the cinema is that the trailer is on, and everyone is sat there and they're watching the trailer. The trailer finishes, and you see the guy say to his girlfriend or his wife, we have to go and watch Batman versus Superman. And she's like, no way, I told you, romantic comedy next time. But they're engaged, they're talking about it, and then this happens. Okay, we'll go quickly, but I really like the music, so I'll talk about it. And what happens is when that comes on the screen, everyone goes from looking at the screen to looking at their phone, they start a conversation, they ignore it. So what we don't realize is that when we go and watch a movie trailer, we are voluntarily being sold to. We are putting our hand up and saying, you can pitch me, they're asking you to give you more money and go to the cinema again. The reason why we all do this, and the reason why we all think we don't like being sold to, but we do when we go to the cinema, is because of two things. One, it's super relevant to what we're doing. We are in the cinema watching a movie, they are pitching us to go and watch another movie. The second reason why we love it, and the second reason why we voluntarily are allowed to we allow them to pitch us, is because we feel we have an element of control. We know we can turn up 20 minutes later after it starts and miss the majority of the advertisements. So as consumers, we really like being sold to. So please be a little bit nicer to that next salesperson that you see on the party. Okay, what is social selling? We hate buzzwords, right? This is a new thing that comes out. You should be social selling, or social selling doesn't work. And what I want to talk to you about today is I want to put it into mathematical terms. I want to talk to you about things like ROI and conversion and really try to prove to you that social selling can work. Let me quickly go through what it's not, in my humble opinion. It's not this. social is not another channel where you can go and blast as many people as physically possible. Most of the time automated. We all have these direct messages saying, hey, listen, thanks for following, Mick. I don't care about you, buy my product. We have a lot of them. We have a lot of LinkedIn messages telling us like, oh, I would love a phone call with you. And these are companies and these are salespeople who just see it as a different channel than email, a different channel than cold calling. And I'm going to show you how kind of crazy it is that I was even pitched, would I like to learn how to fly helicopters for 20,000 euros on LinkedIn? It was awesome. They must really know me because I love helicopters. And we are trying to use social now so fast that we're not really got a structure behind it. So here is Paul. Paul pitched me augmented reality for Brand24. And I'm thinking, sounds cool. No idea how I'm going to use augmented reality for Brand24. But, you know, being that salesperson that I am, I wanted to know. So I gave him the information that every salesperson really wants. I said, Paul, I'm interested. Tell me why you think I can use why I can use augmented reality. His answer was, I'm sure everybody can use it. Wow, awesome, great approach. And the funny thing is, I even wrote him back saying, but why do you think it was for me? And he stopped replying. So we are using social, and we're really running really hard and fast, and we're not really ready. Here was a gentleman who got it actually right. He reached out to me and he was like, Mick, really happy we connected on LinkedIn. I help chief revenue officers from SaaS companies reduce churn. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a chief revenue officer from a SaaS company. Is he watching me? This is like perfect. I even went to his LinkedIn profile and it literally says, I help chief revenue officers save clients' revenue. And I'm like, hell yes, this is what I need. Finally, someone did it good. So I reached out to him and I was like, hey, sounds awesome. Churn is a big problem for Brand24. I want to know how you do it. But I said, I don't want to have a call with you. I want to stay on social. That's where you found me. That's where I like to be. I don't want to have a call. 2 weeks later, he wrote me back saying, I'm really sorry about the delay. I looked at Brand24 and I can't help you. All because I tried to move him. I tried to keep him on the same channel. So his only way of really pitching me and selling me on the product was to actually try to move me to a phone call. So social is really valuable. It gets your attention. And it's the space that's less crowded, but we have to do it right. There are ways to do it right. So that's not how not to do it. This is what I believe it is. Social selling is now a lead generation platform for your company. We all have funnels, probably much more complicated than my horrible design, but we put leads in the top and sales come out at the bottom. Now, the reason why not many companies are doing social selling a lot is because we don't feel that it's predictable. We are waiting for that one person to say on Twitter, I need a CRM, and because there's only one and we don't know when it's going to happen, what we normally do is we switch to cold calling. We switch to cold calling because buying phone numbers online and buying data is unlimited. The more you've got to spend, the more people will give you phone numbers and so on. But the problem that I have with that, or the reason why I'm very advocate of, let's say, social selling and other ways, is because of the numbers. Recent studies, and Michal's going to laugh about my figures later, you're going to see this, but is that cold calling is 97% ineffective. It's not that you have a 3% conversion, it's that 3% of your dials will actually turn into conversations. And then I'll give you that, hopefully, you convert them at 10%. Fantastic. Okay, but you have to go through 1,000 calls to get to 3 sales. What I believe is by doing some numbers, and I'm going to try to show you this today, is that social selling is predictable as well. The first part of the funnel is when they're actually talking about you, okay? But it's really small, and we have to kind of, get into a relationship with that. Every single day, there are brands being mentioned online by consumers who want to make a decision. Should I buy this product or this product? Now, one thing to notice is that they're not always tagging the brand. They're just talking out loud. Here is someone, should I use MailChimp or Aweber? Should I buy a ticket for the Pearl Jam concert? And, should I buy this PS4 or that PS4? Now, this is people who have got credit card in hand or they're looking to make a decision and they're talking about the brand they want to make a decision on, but the brands are not engaging them yet. Only 3% of mentions of brands in this respect are actually tagged. So you never know about them if you're not looking for them and listening to them. Now, the fact is, if you are, the beauty of it is that 100% of the leads on social that talk about you, when you engage them and reply, they start the conversation. Should I buy Brand24? Well, hey, listen, I'm from Brand24. Can I help? 100% will talk to you about it. So let's say, same conversion as cold calling, once you've got the engagement, 1 in 10 will become a sale. Probably a little bit more, but I want to make this as realistic as possible. So let's say you get 10 mentions of your brand online a month, and you can turn them into 1 sale. Okay, so we've got 10 leads in our funnel. It's not really enough for a company to have a sales strategy. So what about the people that are talking about the problem that you solve? On social media, 14,000 people every single month write, can anybody recommend? Can anyone recommend? 14,000 people asking for help making purchasing decisions. 30,000 people write, where can I buy? So we've got 44,000 consumers out there, at least, asking, where do I spend my money? So, can anyone recommend a good webinar platform? It went unanswered. It wasn't actually engaged. Can anyone recommend a great and easy to use CRM system? You'll see here, and I'll give them props, LiveSpace replied. It's in there, so very happy about that. But literally, they're asking for you to help them make decisions on what tools will they buy, what consumer goods will they buy. Can anyone recommend a nice restaurant in Warsaw? Now, I'm sure that there are restaurants out there in Warsaw that are spending lots of money on Google AdWords, Facebook campaigns, and so on. But we're not picking up the low-hanging fruit because we feel it's not predictable. Now, we did a study on over 100 of these. Out of 100 people that actually asked, can anyone recommend? When they would pitch the product, 64% of them either liked it or replied. So we had 64% engagement of a click or an action. 39% of them said, thank you for pitching me your product. Would you like, I don't know which CRM to use. Can anyone recommend one? I recommend LiveSpace. Thank you for your recommendation. I mean, holy crap, in sales, I normally get told to, stop calling me and go and die, Mick. I don't get 39% of people saying thank you for pitching me. Now, the crazy thing about social is that 60% of those 44,000 requests for where should I spend my money go completely unanswered. So it's free range right now. It's out there. But I'm not getting ahead of ourselves. I'm going to say that maybe your industry has 30 of those kind of conversations going on once a month. We know that they engage you at 39%, so I'm going to give it a 10, and I'm going to let you convert that at 10%. So that's another 1 sale. Nothing to get excited about, right? So now with social, we can track what our competition are saying about us. Let me give you a very quick example of what Volvo did.
On Super Bowl Sunday, the US is big, loud, and expensive. Sweden is Swedish. So how does Volvo compete with the other car brands and their millions spent on commercials during the game? We don't. We steal it.
When you see a car commercial during the game, any car commercial, not Volvo, you can tweet using the hashtag #VolvoContest.
The interception was simple. Their commercials would give you a chance to win one of our cars for someone you love. Just tweet their name to Volvo during any car commercial. When Mercedes wanted you to look here, people immediately went here. When Lexus spent 4.5 million for this, Twitter looked like this. Shifting the social conversation to Volvo. With up to 2,000 tweets per minute every time their commercials aired, we changed the Super Bowl conversation from one loud 30-second roar to an ongoing conversation about Volvo that lasted the entire game. We were the only car company to trend both nationally and globally.
So they weren't advertising on TV, they were letting all the other car companies do that for them.
And just like that, Their millions of dollars worth of car commercials turned into a social conversation about Volvo, helping our XC60 to a 70% sales increase the month following the game, the highest in its segment.
So what Volvo did is they let every one of their competitors spend $60 million in total on the Super Bowl, and they kept their consumers where they wanted to stay, which was on Twitter. So for the cost of a car, that was probably $60,000, they were the only trending car company during the Super Bowl. So now social lets us completely access and hack our competitors. Here, every day, I mean, again, I will use the webinar industry right now as an easy example. There are consumers talking about what they like and what they don't like. And they're talking even about your company out there. And we've got to be there for various different reasons. But the beauty of it is that from a sales perspective, every single time that one of your competitors' consumers talks about them, it's a qualified lead. If I've got a webinar tool, if I'm ClickMeeting or WebEx or so on, everyone that says they hate GoToMeeting means that they've used it, which means they could potentially use my product. So it makes our funnel look a little bit more interesting, because every single month there's 600 mentions of GoToMeeting. So let's say that we can engage 15% of them on social, half of when they're talking about the problem that they solve, and we convert them at 10%. And let's just say, maybe I'm being a little bit objective, let's say you've got 2 competitors. Suddenly, our funnel is looking a lot more predictable. It's looking like we can actually use it as a strategy and not just hope every so often we go on Twitter and hope that there are some sales. So let me try and top up the funnel during the last bit, which is your consumers, your potential buyers are talking in community. Now, anyone that's heard a Brand24 presentation recently knows that we talk about this a lot. So we go to the community as well. We go to places like Quora, which is in our mind very, very much social selling, because we use social media to find out where these conversations are happening. Now, the thing is about something like Quora is it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight when you go and build your own awareness in a community on social media, whether or not it's a Facebook group, a LinkedIn group, a fan page, whether or not it's a Q&A site like Product Hunt or Quora. It takes time. But what we do at Brand24 is we put people there with their profiles and they answer questions. Now, let me just explain to you why I've included that in today's presentation, because it's quite important. So we have Gloria, who's our community manager. Some of you will be familiar with Gloria's work. When I made this presentation, when I made this slide a couple of months ago, Gloria had 1.2 million impressions on her answers on Quora. So we were like, wow, that works, let's put Kuba on it. So we hired Kuba. Kuba started to work on Quora as well. And yesterday, I went back and wanted to double check the numbers. Gloria now has 2.6 million impressions on her answers. And we don't pay for them. We pay for Gloria's salary and that's it. Kuba, I think now 800,000 impressions. What does that mean for Brand24? From our social referrals, you can see that Quora is literally 9 times more than any of its closest rivals for traffic, and we don't pay for it. So by knowing where our trials are coming from and knowing where our potential consumers are talking, we've been able to use social and communities to actually drive traffic. Now, we at Brand24, we get over 1,000 trials a month from Quora alone. But for the sake of the funnel, I'm going to say that it's 500, okay? I want to keep it conservative. So of those 500 trials we get, we talk to 20% of them, and let's say that 10% convert, okay? Let's keep the 10% conversion. Now, we probably make, on average, 100 posts on community sites like Quora a month between the team. So that's how much it takes you. So to wrap this up, I want to give you an idea of what we're talking about. Just from the examples I've given you tonight, we were able to use social to find 1,300 leads. We were able to talk to 280 of them, and it generated 28 sales. These are the cold calling numbers. So again, when I'm talking about social selling, I try my hardest to put numbers behind it so that you guys can understand what I'm talking about. It's not a theory. I don't want it to be a buzzword anymore. We're talking about real funnels that your company can go out tomorrow and start engaging, and not only start engaging them, you can track 4, 5, 6 competitors. You can track a service that is more high-tech than you and a service that is simpler than yours. The number of leads now that are online are endless. The reason why we should do it is because 60% of those conversations go unanswered and 39% of them engage you. Dziękuję bardzo. Just in time.
Okay, thank you once more. So now I feel after this presentation, they would sell me anything. Czy są jakieś pytania do Mika? Zapraszam.
Great presentation, thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a question about how do you qualify what kind of questions are you going to answer on Quora? Because there are plenty of questions that go unanswered there as well. But how do you strategize what is the best for you as a brand to answer?
Great question. The cheesy answer is that we use Brand24 to find the questions, but let's leave that to one side for a second. We actually have a strategy now that we try to answer every question in our space, even if we're the first, even if the views are very small, because the way that the strategy, because obviously Quora's algorithm is behind the scenes, they're not putting it out there. You never know when that question is going to become very, very popular. So we try to be on every question, we try to answer, and the other reason for that is that because if we wait for the questions to become popular, when we answer, we're going to be answer number 10. So we're going to be down there and we're going to be really hoping for a lot of scrolling. So the easy answer for me is that we do as much as we possibly can. We try. If you're starting out, I know it looks like a wild field of 100,000 questions of, you know, oh my God, what's going to happen on Game of Thrones next week? But if you use the search and you use tools like Brand24, you can put that in order and you can come to it step by step, day by day. But the honest answer is that we tried to hack it. We tried to pick the questions that were going to be cool. The other thing is it's always good to see, even if a Quora question has very little traffic, copy and paste the question, put it in Google, and see how high it ranks on page 1 of Google. This is where a lot of our Quora traffic comes from, is that we piggyback on Quora's SEO. So we're not every one of those traffic that we get from Quora is a hardcore Quora user. Just Quora is awesome at ranking on Google as well. So that's another way of just checking and having a look. You know, is it a very popular question? Is it very niche? But sadly, the only answer I've got is that we do as many as we possibly can without too much focus on order.
Next question.
Yes.
What's up, Mick?
Shema.
Shema. So, okay, you know that I worked at Fastoni, and it's a curiosity, the question, actually, because I know that you have like 1,000 customers at Brand24, and I've used your tool before, you know that. But what I'm wondering is, I've heard that only like 20 or 20-something% of your customers actually regularly use the tool to engage in conversation, right? So why, it's a curiosity question, because I used to have the problem with Fastoni. You know what I'm asking, right?
Totally get it. No, it's a great question, because still traditionally, a lot of people are using tools like Brand24 for analytics. It's great to collect data, how many times was my brand mentioned, and just look at the graphs. It's great, right? The reason why 25%, let's call it, I like 25%, it's a good one. The reason why only 25% of people are clicking on the tweets, on the Facebook pads, and engaging is, most of the time, brands are shit scared of doing it. They don't know what to write. So, stuff like this. You know, we try to use webinars, blog posts, educational process, but you know, the other thing is that, which is a great point, which is why I'm even talking about it today, is we're like, oh, if you reply to your consumers, they're going to be so much happy with you and they're going to love your brand, and they go, so what? I can go out and buy leads, I can buy phone numbers. They really, me included as a manager, I love having ROI numbers. I love having conversion. So what we have to work super hard on is saying, okay, well, we can't just say social selling works, we have to prove it. Do the numbers, do the research, reach out to 100 people, collect how many people reply. But no, the hard part is that companies are not always willing to hire that social media expert to start replying. They don't always know what to say. And we are a little bit before the bubble of that becoming the norm. Now, the Volvo thing is awesome, because the fact of the matter is, if you are not replying to mentions of your brand, your competitor will start, and they will steal your sales. So that's the key thing to be very, very afraid of, is that everybody can see your clients. So if you don't, eventually it's going to catch up with you. And I think the CRM industry is amazing, because all CRM companies are aware of this right now. If you see someone say, can anyone recommend a CRM? There's like 20 responses. But if anyone says, can you recommend where to buy a Mercedes? There's 0. So certain industries are moving faster than the others, but CRM is where it is. But it's a great question. People just don't know what to do yet. So that's my job, to tell them why. Yes?
Yeah. Mick. Yeah, it's here.
Hey, hey.
Hi, great presentation.
Thank you.
Question, do you have any case study from a very offline industry how to take your clients online? So here in your presentation, we assume that the clients are already online and they are already talking. I'm working in a waste management industry, which is very offline, and the customers don't seem to talk too much online about their waste stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a great question, and obviously when it comes to especially B2B space, let's say, for example, you offer waste management for companies. I can only give you one example. Maybe I'll give you a case study. I had a company, or a lead, and it was my brother's company, so I really wanted to sell him. And what he sold was noise insulation for hotels. So you never got a hotel manager going on Twitter going, I wish my rooms were less noisy. It just didn't happen. But what you got was a lot of people saying that hotel was noisy as hell. So what my brother would do is find all the people that were saying noisy hotel and say, hey, by the way, did you know that your consumer was complaining about your hotel? I can help you fix that. So sometimes you have to go B to B to C. But it's not, there's sadly no fixed formula, but I'd love to sit down and look at it with you and see if we can find, at least part of that funnel to fill. But yeah, I wouldn't look for people saying, I wish I had better waste management. I'd look for people saying like, shit, I wish my neighbor would move his trash. So we have to think about how consumers talk about it in a social sense. But it's a great question. It's a great question. Ostatnie? Dobrze. Sorry, don't hear you, sorry.
So I'm just gonna yell. Thanks for the presentation. Have you compared how social compares to inbound in terms of lifetime value or churn? Because I have the kind of gut feeling that it's a little bit less sticky because people feel like you're kind of putting it in their face. And I'm also a bit skeptical to your core answer. If it's copy pasta everywhere, how does that really kind of work out?
Okay, so I'll answer the first one, and I might ask you to clarify the second one. But the first one is, it's actually not been calculated yet. So it's a great question. I wish I had the answer. I do appreciate the point of someone finds you, they come to you naturally, they don't feel. But what we actually really underestimate, and I've got it in different presentations, is that when people say on social media, I hate Salesforce, or I want to buy this, and 60% of them going unanswered, they're not saying it to vent. They're not saying it because they're annoyed, because if they were, they would just tell the person next to them. They're saying it because as consumers, we kind of want a response. If I'm mad at Ryanair or United Airlines, I'm kind of going to go to social first because I know they have more of a reason to do it. So if you solve their problem right now, I think that you'll find like LTV and stuff is similar. What will happen down the line is that someone will write, I'd love to change airline. They will get 7 replies, and then maybe then the relationship is slightly diluted because that they feel like they're being kind of grabbed at every angle. But now I don't think, personal opinion, I don't think it's so bad. But could you just repeat the Quora question and then?
Yeah, I saw that you had the same response.
Okay.
I think that having the same response for a lot of posts doesn't really work out that way. It looks like spam.
Sure. We definitely try to. So what we try to do is we'll have like a more of a breakdown template which has which is reusable, then add personalization or filter it to a certain question. and then maybe finish it the same. So we would love, I mean, the mentality is definitely keep it organic. Don't copy and paste 1,000, because the other thing what's going to happen is Quora are going to kick you off instantly. They hate it, right? They're going to hide your answers. We constantly live in fear of Quora as well, because they are such a big part of our business now. But no, better is to do it human and scale your team when the conversion is there. So no, I agree. No, we definitely try to at least make certain parts of the replies custom.
Thank you once more. Mick, Griffin, Brand24.